If you were a budding journalist around my age, there was one person, one journalist, most of us, including me, aspired to be. Ted Koppel. For a quarter century, Koppel hosted a program which was a testament to the type of even-handed, fact-based journalism seldom seen on TV these days. As the anchor of ABC's Nightline, he was a fixture in American homes, bringing the nation important, compelling stories and interviews while upholding the highest standards of the profession. Things have changed a lot since then, with bombast often coming to define the industry. But Ted Koppel hasn't gone there and has maintained that sterling reputation through it all. So we're thrilled to welcome senior correspondent for CBS Sunday Morning and one of the true legends of American journalism, Ted Koppel. Sir, great to have you on the show.
It's nice to be with you, Dan.
So I'm going to want to get your take on the state of the media. But first, I want to just talk to you about where the country is today. In its sort of broadest sense, the Biden presidency is now a year old. Anything that surprised you about this administration? Anything stand out to you from the Biden White House in its first year?
Well, I must tell you, Dan, the only thing that surprises me is that anyone wants to run for the presidency. If you just look at all the problems that confronted, and whatever you may think about Joe Biden's predecessor, he faced a ton of problems too. I can't imagine why anyone wants that job.
Fair enough. And, you know, the president campaigned on a promise to try to unite the country, try and bring people together, try to govern in a more bipartisan manner. He hasn't been able to do that. Do you think he's to blame for that?
No, I think the world has changed. The technology has changed. 30 years ago, we had something in this country that was quite literally imposed on the broadcast industry, and it was called the Fairness Doctrine. And it required that if you did an interview with someone on the right, then you had to balance it with an interview with someone on the left. I mean, it wasn't strictly enforced, but it was there. In 1987, that was eliminated, largely, I must say, under Republican pressure. And 1 year later, 1988, a young man by the name of Rush Limbaugh came on the scene, and he began doing a radio program which made absolutely no effort or no pretense at being even-handed. He was unabashedly conservative. And from that moment on, he was so successful that he had a lot of imitators, and then came Fox News. And over the course of the past 30 years, the technology has changed so much that what I grew up with, which was a sense that journalism required a certain even-handedness, it's been replaced now by a technology which allows anyone with access to a laptop computer or an iPhone or an iPad to be their own publisher, to be their own broadcaster.
And do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, you know, some, of course, would say that, you know, having these kingmakers in place who decided what news the Americans got to see and what opinions people got to hear was unfair, and now they would argue it's a much more democratic system.
Well, you can certainly describe it as the democratization of journalism, but what you've got then is quite literally millions of people with the capacity to put out any kind of garbage that they want. And I use the word garbage advisedly. Are there good things on the internet? Of course there are. But the fact of the matter is that people of my generation who were in journalism quite literally had to go through at least a modest training program and abide by a fairly well understood set of rules as to what you could and could not do. Was there bad journalism? Of course there was. But for the most part, it was much more even-handed 30 years ago than it is today.
You know, hanging over everything, even a year after he's left office, is Donald Trump. He's using his popularity within the GOP to, you know, almost demand a level of compliance from other Republicans and insisting that they accept the premise that he actually won the 2020 election. How do you see this dynamic playing out in the Republican Party through 2024?
I don't know. I mean, at the moment, it's very hard to see anyone in the Republican Party, if for his own reasons, Donald Trump decides that he's not going to run again in 3 years. It's almost an accepted fact at this point that no one who does not have his blessing is going to have a chance at the GOP nomination.
And the January 6th commission, I have said that I think that there is too much cable news coverage of the commission's every breath on CNN and MSNBC, and that I believe that you can care enormously about what happened on January 6th. You can look forward to the outcome of the commission's report and also be critical of how much coverage some, and particularly in the left-leaning media, are giving of the commission. Do you agree with me?
Well, to a certain degree. I mean, the fact of the matter is that television news, whether it was broadcast news or cable news or ultimately what is seen on the internet, is all governed to one degree or another by the amount of money that it makes for the people who are putting it out there. And what the folks on cable news have discovered is that Donald Trump was very, very good for business, for the business of television news. And in fact, cable outfits like CNN and MSNBC and Fox discovered that all they had to do was, in the early days of the campaign, for example, there were times when CNN would quite literally, for 15 or 20 minutes, have live video of an empty tarmac because they were awaiting the arrival of Donald Trump's plane. Did they know what he was going to say? Did they have any sense that what he was going to say was going to make news? Absolutely not. But they did know that the promise of Donald Trump on their air was going to hold viewers to that channel, to CNN, to MSNBC. And in fact, that continues to one degree or another to this day.
Do you equate Fox with CNN and MSNBC in that regard?
No, I think Fox is far more unabashedly partisan, certainly, than CNN. But to a certain degree, is MSNBC partisan? Of course they are. Yes, they are. Let me tell you a quick story. When you were, I guess you would have been at Duke 30 years ago, right? Is that roughly correct? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
that is correct. Yes.
There you go. When you were studying at Duke, I was reading the New York Times one day, and there was a story that caught my attention, and I called the reporter and asked him if he would come on that evening as a guest, because I wanted to do that story and needed his input. And he said, I'm going to have to talk to Abe. Abe Rosenfeld at that time was the managing editor of the New York Times. He called me back about half an hour later. I said, what did Abe say? He said, Abe said, you want to go on Nightline? Go ahead. Go on Nightline. But then don't come back to the New York Times. That's the way things were 30 years ago. Anyone who worked for the Times, anyone who worked for the Post, anyone who worked for the Wall Street Journal, worked for that newspaper. They wouldn't have appeared on a television program as a guest because people might, Koppel might ask some kind of question that would provoke a partisan response, and we don't want anybody knowing, what the politics are of our reporters. Things have changed a lot.
That's for sure. All right, let me take a break here. If I could ask you to just stick around for a minute, because in the past you have criticized the New York Times and Washington Post coverage as being biased against Donald Trump. I want to talk about that and a little bit more about the polarized media. Coming up with more with Ted Koppel in a moment. We're back with legendary journalist Ted Koppel, now senior correspondent for CBS Sunday Mornings. Let me ask you, back in 2019, you said the following. You said, "I'm terribly concerned that when you talk about the New York Times these days, when you talk about the Washington Post these days, we're not talking about the New York Times of 50 years ago. We're not talking about the Washington Post of 50 years ago. We're talking about organizations that I believe have, in fact, decided as organizations that Donald J. Trump is bad for the United States." Do you still feel that way? And if so, how has that, do you think, impacted media coverage of Donald Trump over the past few years?
Well, let me be absolutely clear. I think the New York Times and the Washington Post do some absolutely brilliant journalism. But I think opinion belongs on the opinion page. That's why they call it the op-ed section. And that's where the opinion pieces are, the columns, that's where the editorials are, and that's where it belongs. I don't like seeing opinion being expressed on the front page of a great newspaper. Having said that, let me say again, I think the Times, the Post, the Wall Street Journal are doing some of the best journalism that I have seen over the past 50 years. I just wish they wouldn't slip into that category. And when you start, Lyndon Johnson used to say, when you get down in the mud with a hog who loves it, and you both get dirty, right? So it bothers me when I see them losing some of the criteria that always used to keep a wall between opinion and news coverage.
And as you know, the response to that from some would be that Donald Trump is different, that he has to be covered differently by the media than others. What do you make of that?
Well, I think if you start drawing those distinctions, it's very difficult to know where you stop drawing the distinction. Do you feel that way about anybody else in politics? Are we going to start picking up our morning newspaper to see who's in and who's out in terms of the news coverage? Again, there is a place for that in the op-ed section. I don't like it on the front page.
Yeah. What do you? Let me actually. In an exchange in 2017, you told Sean Hannity that you think he's, quote, bad for America. Let me play that piece of sound here.
Sure.
We have to give some credit to the American people that they're somewhat intelligent and that they know the difference between an opinion show and a news show.
Yeah.
You're cynical. Look at it.
I am cynical because,
You think we're bad for America? You think I'm bad for America?
Yeah.
You do?
In the long haul, I think you
Really?
and all these opinion
That's
shows.
sad, Ted.
No, you know why?
That's sad.
So let me ask you this. You were very direct with Sean Hannity. Do you think that there's a place for opinion shows that offer opinions from different sides as opposed to just one side?
Well, whether I feel that there's a place for them or not, it's absolutely inevitable that they're going to appear now. That's why the cable networks are making money these days. The fact of the matter is, when Rupert Murdoch came along with Fox and started presenting news with a distinctly conservative, right-wing slant to it, the folks over at NBC, who also owned a little cable outfit called MSNBC that was going nowhere, saw that Fox was making $1 billion a year. And they said to themselves, if you can do that on the right, we can do it on the left. And they have. And the fact of the matter is they're doing better now than they've ever done before. Is that good for America? I don't think so, but I'm an old-fashioned journalist, and I've got to admit that my day has come and gone. The network news shows are not what they used to be. The network news shows now are frequently programmed on the basis of what's trending on social media. Is that the right way? 50 years ago, the questions that the executive producers of those evening news programs asked themselves, quite literally, was, Is it, what is going on in the world today? Is it good for the world at large? Is it good for my country? Is it good for my home? And if it represents a threat, let's explain that. These days, you're more likely to see something get on the air because it's a dramatic picture, whatever its news value may have been.
Ted Koppel, you're so cynical about the American media today.
I'm old. It goes with old age. You'll get there eventually. Talk to you about it.
Yes, yes. No, but it does sound like to you, you believe that it, and I think you're probably right, that all news is now being dictated by dollars. Do you think that applies as well to the papers that you were lauding a few moments ago, like the Times and the Post and the Journal?
Well, the fact of the matter is that social media, the internet, has been very, very good to those newspapers. And the fact that I don't know whether it's more people now who read the Times and the Post online than read the actual print newspaper. But if it's not, then they're very close to that. And the fact of the matter is, where most newspapers around the country are in huge financial trouble, the Times and the Post are doing extremely well now. And they're doing well by putting out, for the most part, an absolutely superb product.
Do you watch cable news a lot?
I watch it when I'm working out. So I'd say I watch it probably an hour a day. Yeah.
And is there a channel in particular you watch?
Oh, I'll flip back and forth between CNN, MSNBC. I do check in on Fox almost daily because I like to know what they're saying too. Am I more a centrist than right of center or left of center? Absolutely. Always have been.
And look, I view myself the same way. And that's been the mission of this show, is to try to do a cable news show for people left and right of center. We'll see in the long haul if it works.
How's it working for you so far?
Well, we got Ted Koppel on the show. It's a good start.
Well, that's all right. Your dad's an old friend.
Yeah, so that's the only reason, by the way. I got it. Ted Koppel, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.